research, okay, in the first point actually is because we are looking at so many pollutions, right? Water pollutions and pollutions around. So that's why we try to find out what is the best way. Of course, there is a lot of methods to actually produce this or clean up this contaminated and pollutions water, right? So, but when we actually look into very closely into this system, okay, photocatalytic system, it is really very, very interesting, right? It's very interesting. Okay, yeah, I forgot, first of all, I need to share my slides, yeah, okay. Let me share my slides. So you can see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Can, yeah? Okay, okay, thanks. So as I mentioned just now, okay, we are actually look at this photocatalytic system is a very, very good system. And then due to that, we try to find what is the lowest cost to prepare these materials, as well as if besides the low cost that we prepared, the way that we prepared in the low cost method, and then we try to look at if it even can be recycled, right? It even can be recycled. Of course, this is just the initial part of our studies of the recycle photocatalytic composite, all right? So let me share what I would like to look at or share with you today, okay, the overview, right? So this is what I would like to share with you all, okay? So first thing is we'll talk about the photocatalysis process and then the materials that we are using, and then we look at the organic dyes as well, right? So there are actually two parts in the studies here, okay? So that's why the objectives as well, we actually have two parts of this objective, then two parts for the experimental as well as the results, all right? Then of course, we briefly look at the futures and the previous studies, okay? So as what we actually first look into this photocatalysis system, okay? It is really immersed me and then our group, okay? So because it is so amazing that this system just require a sunlight, right? Just require a sunlight. So as simple as that. So it can be make a simile with this photosynthesis system, right? Everybody, I believe, is familiar with photosynthesis system, which actually requires sunlight. Then this tree actually have the chemical reactions, then they produce food for themselves as well as the oxygen for the whole world, right? So it actually creates a product which is safe to everyone. So same thing here for the photocatalytic system, okay? So for the photocatalytic system, it's also require the sunlight, sun rays. So this sun rays actually is the source of the energy, right? The source of energy. Then the same way is actually require the metal oxide, which here metal that we are using. And then this metal oxide again is actually having a chemical reactions. And finally, if you mix with this polluted water, which has the organic substance, then it will actually reduce this organic substance, right? Okay, so it's finally same thing, produce the end result, which is safe to the environment. Okay, generally, of course, it produces water and carbon dioxide, right? So let us look at the details, a little bit details in the diagrammatic presentations of this photocatalytic process, right? So this is the system that we have, okay? So we need a sun rays, right? Okay, we need a sun rays. So the sun rays actually produce the energy. So it doesn't mean that we can take just any materials, put there, and then it will actually have a chemical reaction with the polluted water, then it will be safe. It will be clear water. No, right? So it has to be certain criteria, right? So here we are using the metal oxide, which is later we'll mention what materials that. So these materials actually being excited, right? It's being excited when it absorbs the energy from the sunlight. So therefore, it's actually create the electrons and hole as what we call it here, all right? So this is the electrons and hole as what we call, right? So these electrons and hole, that is actually interact with the oxygen near the surface as well as the water, right? So this will actually create the redox, okay, which actually produce the superoxide as well as the hydroxyl radical. So this radical is very active. This radical that is actually is the main substance that actually will reduce our organic substance, all right? Okay, so therefore, okay, here we can see that this organic substance is being interacted, okay? They have chemical reaction with the radical, okay? So for the organic toxin, then it slowly neutralizes, and then at the end, it actually produces the carbon dioxide and water. Of course, sometimes, okay, it will actually produce a weak acid, all right? Okay. So in a very summary or simple explanation, this system actually we can break it into three main parts, all right? So the first one is require the sunlight, which is the energy resources, okay? So these energy resources must be, okay, must be very strong as well, okay? It must be strong as well. It needs to have energy which is higher than the energy threshold of this metal oxide. Then only the electron will be excited, right? So if the energy is not sufficient, so the energy will not be enough to create this excited iron oxide, metal oxide, okay? So that is the main part. And then after that, after it is actually excited, then the second part is the radical formations, all right? So this is the second main steps, right? In the photocatalysis system, it creates the radicals. And this radical then actually move on to the third step, where it actually decompose the organic compounds and finally produce the harmless products, okay? So this system is very, very good. Why? Because it is not choosing any chemical or organic product, okay? It will actually reduce any chemical, right? Any chemical. So the operations is very simple. It's a low cost, all right? And as well, it actually can operate in the ambient condition, which is the room temperature as well, okay? All right, so that is briefly, I want to share what is a photocatalysis process about. Okay, next I would like to share is the materials that I'm using, right? So the materials that I'm using will be the zinc oxide, okay? So why we use this zinc oxide, as we all know, okay? When we look at the previous study, titanium dioxide and zinc oxide is actually hugely used as the photocatalyst. And of course, titanium dioxide is the most common one. And then now they are also common usage for zinc oxide due to its stable conditions, right? So this is the use of the zinc oxide. As we can see, it's stable, and then there is various applications in this industry, right? So therefore, of course, there, as you can see here, there are 3 different type, okay, of crystal structures that can be produced. Of course, this is due to the temperature, okay, due to the temperature, different temperature. And of course, the second one, as I said just now, is titanium dioxide, right? So same conditions, okay, it's also stable, and then is as well has these 3 types of crystal structure, which also being produced by different heating temperature when we actually prepare them, all right? And then the third one is the iron oxide, okay? The third one is the iron oxide, right? So, sorry. So the third one is iron oxide, okay, powder. So we are using Fe3O4, right? So the reason actually we are using this iron oxide is our second objective, that is to recycle, to make our photocatalytic system, okay, material to be able to be recycled, right? Okay, so of course, the main, the first objective, we still would like to look at whether this iron oxide will be able to reduce the organic substance as well, all right? Okay, so this is the structures of these magnetite, as we call it, okay, E3O4. And then the organic materials, okay, the organic materials that we are using is the methylene blue, which is a very famous organic dye, right? So as everyone can see, okay, in the previous study, this is a common dye because it is safe, it's stable, right? And it is widely used in a biological system, analytical system, okay? So that's why we are using these organic materials as our main experiment, okay, measure. And then the second one, of course, is phenol red, okay? So this phenol red actually is just we looking at because of the applications of it, right? Because it is a good pH indicator, although it's also it is a little bit carcinogenic, right? Okay, of course, its use is in the research is very broad, okay, it's very broad. So that's why we also try to look at this phenol red. And then the third one we try to look at is the methyl orange. This is the really carcinogenic material dyes, right? So this is the 3 organic dyes that we are actually used for our first part of the experiment, okay, or studies, right? So the objective that we are looking at these studies, of course, as I said, there is 2 parts, okay? The first part, of course, as I said, okay, earlier, we also would like to look at what is this object or metal oxide capabilities. Is it able to degrade the organic dye, okay? Each of them, whether they can degrade, right? Zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, and iron oxide, okay? Whether they can degrade. And then, of course, how we actually going to measure, we are looking at the relationship between the absorbance of the organic dye with its concentrations, all right? So we'll look at later, okay, how we actually relate this absorbance with its concentrations. And of course, finally, we actually looking at the degradations process, okay? Of course, a few variables that we try to play with, right? So the second objective, okay, the second objective of our, the second objective of our work here is, as we mentioned, we try to produce, okay, iron doped with this metal oxide, okay, which is we dope this metal oxide, iron metal oxide, with zinc oxide and titanium dioxide to actually produce the magnetic nanocomposite, okay, magnetic nanocomposite. So of course, we actually varied a few things when we prepare to make sure that we will be able to get the final product which is stable, all right, and also optimum, all right. So we look at the centering temperature as well as the doping amount of this object, okay, the iron oxide, okay. So then we look, of course, we want to look at the degradations, right? So we look at the degradations process, and then we try to actually look at the magnetic characteristic of this, all right? So let us look at the experiment, okay, right? So the experiment of our studies, okay, we generally, okay, didn't really synthesize, okay, because our aims, as I said, okay, we just would like to see our end product, is it able, okay, is it able to really produce a magnetic nanocomposite, okay. So we just bought this directly and use it without any alterations, okay, right? So zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, and iron oxide, as well as the organic dye as well, right? As well as the organic dye. So this first part, of course, we directly use this metal oxide directly. We mix them into distilled water, right? We mix them into distilled water, and then we try to actually looking at the reductions of this dye. Okay, so we consistently use 3 ml of the methylene blue, and then phenol red, and methyl orange. Okay, all the amount will be the same for the organic dye. And then to characterize, okay, to look at the morphology of this metal oxide. Okay, so of course we want to know whether there is any other substance, although we bought from a good industry, right? So we look at the XRD, okay, then we look at the, we use the FSEM, FESEM, right? And then we look at TM as well as the BET, okay, right? So how we actually produced, okay, how we actually produce this metal oxide with doped iron, okay? So this is how we actually trying to mix them, okay? This is how we try to mix them. So we have this iron oxide mixed together or directly, okay, directly with zinc oxide and the titanium dioxide. So of course, individually, okay, we didn't take zinc and titanium mixed together, yeah. So we just take zinc oxide with iron oxide, dope, okay, we weigh, and then each portions that we want, the proportion of amount of doping of iron oxide, and then same way for titanium dioxide, okay. So the mixing again, okay, of course, as I said, this is the early studies. So we just use a very small amount of this metal oxides and iron oxide, okay. So we try to use a simple mixing, which is the solid state reaction method, which is just a mechanical dry mixing, okay, mechanical dry mixing. So this is the mixture that we have, okay, right? So the composite that we have before we sinter, okay, before we actually sinter. So on the left side, which is A, which this shows a bit darker, right? A bit darker. So this has the highest amount of the iron oxide, and on the right is the least amount of the iron oxide. Okay. So then after that, as we say, we would like to see what is the best sintering temperature, right? So we are actually putting at 5 hours, okay? So we actually did try to find out what happens if we do a different sintering temperature, but it seems that it's look quite similar when it is about 2 hours above. So, I mean, when we try to sinter it for 10 hours, also it is still having similar results, okay, quite similar results. And then for this, we directly, after sinter, we directly use this substance, okay, right? So what we actually try to look at next is the organic dye degradations, right? Okay, so we have this UVV chambers, okay, UVV chambers. So we actually directly substitute, okay, 0.2 gram of this nanocomposite, which is already after sintered, and then we add it into the sample of organic dye, right? So we put it under this UV light, okay, right? So we vary the time as well, okay, we vary the time as well. So that's how we actually find out what is the rate of degradations, all right? What is the rate of degradations? So as I mentioned earlier, okay, so we are actually looking at these simple applications of Beer-Lambert's law, right? So we actually looking at these relations between the concentrations and the absorbance. So we actually just need to look at the absorbance of the UVV's chamber, UVV's reading, okay, carry 50, right? So we actually, after that, we will be able to find out the result, the degradation rate, without actually need to look at the concentrations, okay? Without need to look at the concentration. We just need to look at the absorbance is sufficient, okay? All right. So what we want to do, of course, we want to show the metal oxides first, okay? I mean the first part, okay, the first part. So this is the first part of our result. Of course, everybody will always see this commonly in the journals, right? Journal papers. So this is the result of our metal oxide. So it seems that it is really pure metal oxide. Okay, all the peaks that we actually found here is really coincide with all the cuts that generally have in the journals. All right, so there's no strange peak that we found here. Okay, so that first that we need to really prove it is a pure metal oxide, right? And then of course we look at under the FCSAM, okay, how is this structures, okay, morphology. So as you can see that zinc oxide, okay, zinc oxide, it seems like it's really has very different, varied shape, okay, but for titanium, it's really circular, spherical, right, mostly, same as the iron oxide, okay, right. And when we look at the TM, it seems like they are monodispersed. There's not really serious agglomerations here, right? That is really good. And then we also would like to look at the purity in another form, which is EDX, all right? Beside the XRD, right? So we want to look at what is the metals inside this substance, our substance. So it seems like they are really pure, okay, for zinc, for titanium, for iron. So as what you can see, the carbon here is also common observation is due to the preparation plate, okay, that actually reflected in the results, okay, right. So the BET, as we can see here, is just a very different surface area, okay, for zinc oxide, titanium, as well as iron oxide, okay, right. So as what we already mentioned, we would like to just look at the absorbance of the substance, okay, organic substance that we have. So we try to apply for different materials, of course, okay. So here we are using the methylene blue, right? So different concentrations will actually give different absorbance, right? So when we draw a graph, it's really provide us a straight line. So that's why we can actually use this idea, okay, by just looking at the absorbance, okay, without need or required to look at the concentrations, all right? So this is the first result of our metal oxide, okay? So it really seems that it's a good photocatalytic substance, okay? So it's really significantly degrade the methylene blue, right? So we can see that when the amount of zinc oxide, metal oxide that we are using is increasing, then the degradation rate is also increased. Okay, of course, this is due to the amount of substance that we have. Okay, as more iron oxide is there, then there will be more redox inside the system. So the process is increasing. And of course, okay, we also look at the particular one. Okay, as you can see here, okay, let me go back. So as you can see here, the particular system that is having the highest degradation is 2.5 weight%, right? 2.5 weight%. So we are taking this 2.5 weight%, okay, by using the system which has a 2.5 weight%, okay, of this metal oxide. Then we try to really degrade, okay, we focus on this particular 2.5 weight% of zinc oxide, and we found out it's very excellent metal oxides, okay. Then we of course looking at the titanium, so it's materials, so it's also degrade the methylene blue, and it has the highest photocatalytic degradation rate at 3 weight%, okay, 3 weight%, which is slightly more than the zinc oxide, right? So again, we are taking this 3 weight% of this titanium dioxide, and we degrade, okay, methylene blue, and it takes about 60 minutes, which is an hour, right? It's in an hour. So therefore, it's actually fully degrade the methylene blue, right? And the third one, of course, is the iron oxide. So from here, we can see that iron oxide is not really a good photocatalytic system, all right? So as you can see, without iron oxide is even higher, right? But of course, we don't really take into considerations of that, because what is our objective is to produce the magnetic. We just want iron oxide to actually help our zinc oxide or titanium dioxide to be a magnetic photocatalytic material, okay, right? But of course, as we can see here, although it is lower, right, but we can see at 3 weight% of iron oxide is the highest degradation rate. Okay, so same way, we also use this 3 weight%, and then we found out that the rate, of course, is very slow. Okay, after 2 hours, okay, I really wait for 2 hours. It's, we tried to do it 2 hours, and it's still very, very slow. Okay, the degradation rate is really almost like stop, right? Okay, so that is what we have for the this all metal oxide. Then we try to look at in general, okay, average and overall, right? So we can see that when we actually, okay, change the concentration. So as you can see, as higher amount of organic dye is there, of course, since we have a lot of redox, so we don't want to waste that redox, right? So we need to add more organic dye. Then, so it seems that it's really improved, right? It's really improved the degradation rate. Okay, so that is for the methylene blue. And then we also look at the phenol red. So same thing happened, but we can see that iron oxide seems like no change at all. Okay, no effect. It is really insignificant photocatalytic materials. Okay, and then for the phenol metal orange as well. Okay, for titanium and zinc is really still okay the best metal oxide, but for zinc iron oxide is really insignificant at all. Okay, it's really insignificant at all. If you can see, it is 10 power of -5, right? Okay, if you can see clearly, okay, the rate is very, very low, right? It's very low. Okay, so then we actually go to the next experiment, which is the main one, okay, right? So we go one by one. First, we look at the zinc oxide with iron dope. Okay. So of course, zinc oxide and titanium, we change the sintering temperature. So from the sintering temperature, although we change, it seems like it looks similar. Okay, there is not much change in the morphologies. Okay, right? And then we try to look at the XRD. So it also seems quite similar. Okay, and of course the substance is there. Okay, zinc oxide is there, iron oxide is there, right? Okay, so and then we look at the PET surface area. Of course, as you can see here, it looks like suddenly a change in the 400 degrees C, but actually for PET surface area, that is very, very small. Okay, because in a general, okay, PET surface area, of course, we also hope at that time to get a very good PET surface area, but at the end we find out this metal oxide is just have a very low surface area. Okay, it's about less than 5. Okay, so generally, of course, in a common, very famous synthesis, metal oxide is generally will have about 10, okay, 20, and even if we synthesize it properly, we even can get a 50 square meter per gram, right? So it is not really significant here, although we can see the changes. And then, okay, of course, we would like to look at the purity for the EDX, okay? So it seems still, okay, purity is there, right? Although we already mixed the zinc oxide with the iron oxide, all right? And then we change, okay, the second one, we try to change the dope, the amount of doping, all right? So 20%, 15 until 5%, all right? So until 1%, sorry, okay? So we try to amount of dope, right? Amount of doping. So what we see is still quite the same. Of course, from here we can already see that, okay, you already can see that now we have the circular, the spherical shape is there, right? Okay, and same thing for the XRD, okay, same thing for the XRD. Of course, it is very obvious when the doping is high, we can see the existence of this iron, okay, the iron lattice there, right? But when the doping is lesser and lesser, so we can't really see, obviously, okay? So same for the BET, right? Same for the BET surface area is also not much, not significant to us, okay? Okay. And for the XRD as well, okay, it's still pure, okay? And of course, what we want, the main one also to look at what is the size, okay, about average size of our nanocomposite materials. So what we actually found out from this TEM, okay, it is actually about or between 150 to 200, okay? So it's still acceptable, okay, still acceptable, right? And then after we already successfully characterized, then we try to degrade, use it to degrade, right? We use it to degrade the methylene blue. Okay, we just use the methylene blue here, right? So first, we try to use the amount of this nanocomposite. Okay, how much is the best photocatalytic? Okay, so we actually degrade. We found out that it is 9%, 98%. So that is the highest. And then we actually look at the sintering temperature. Of course, we take the best and then try to find the sintering and then take it the best. We try to focus it, okay, right? So here we found it is 300 at 300 degree is the optimum, and okay, and the dope is between 10% to 1%, okay, right? Of course, this is the result of the degradations for iron oxide, okay, and of course, we would like to see what is the magnetic characteristic, okay, so the magnetic characteristic is very obvious, okay, as you can see, the blue one is the just metal oxide, okay, zinc oxide, but the magnetic nanocomposite, okay, is the red one. So it's now very obvious there is a magnetic characteristics, okay. So after we really found out this magnetic characteristic, so we try to degrade few times so we can separate it, okay. It just within a minute, okay, it's already clearly separated, okay. So then we, as I said, we try to do it a few times. Here we just do it for 3 runs, okay, and it's really still show a significant degradations, right? Okay, right. So the next one, as I said, is titanium, right? Again, okay, I'm sorry, probably I go a bit faster because I think the time is over, right? It's not sufficient, but it's quite similar, right? Okay, so the way we do is quite similar for titanium and zinc oxide. So we try to look at the sintering temperature. So as we can see here, it seems quite similar, okay? No obvious changes of these structures. And same thing for the XRD, we also observe the same results, all right? And then after we change the temperature, then of course I said we look at the surface. So again, the surface also not much change, okay, surface area. And then we try to look at what is the change of the amount if we look at that later, okay. So the purity, again, okay, for the EDX is acceptable. And for the doping, okay, for the doping, of course, we can't see obviously because the titanium is also spherical as well as the zinc oxide, iron oxide, sorry, okay, titanium iodide, both are spherical. And it doesn't seem any huge changes here, right? And then we look at the XRD, okay, the XRD also very, very acceptable, okay, all are pure, okay. And then we look at the BET surface area, is also not much difference, right? It's also not much difference. And again, using EDX is again, really happy with that, okay. It's a really pure substance. And finally, we try to look at, we try to characterize the size, okay. So we found out the titanium and iron dope is a bit smaller. It's between 60 to 90, okay, nanometers, okay. All right. Then, of course, we would like to look at the degradations, all right, the degradations. Then, of course, the amount of the catalyst here, as you can see, is not much from the single titanium, all right, the single titanium. Then this nanocomposite as well is also achieved the highest degradation rate at 38%, okay, at 38%. So by using that, and then we actually find out what is the best sintering temperature, then we actually obtain 350 degrees C, okay, 350 degrees C. And then for the doping amount, we found that it is only significant when it is doped with 1 weight percent, okay, it's doped with 1 weight percent of iron oxide, okay. And of course, this is what we want to look at, okay. the magnetic characteristics of our nanocomposites. So it's again, it's very obvious for the nanocomposite. Okay, the right curve is showing the magnetic characteristic here. Okay, so we try to separate it. Okay, so for this titanium dioxide and iron dope is slightly slower. Okay, right, but of course it's still successfully separated. Okay, right, so same way we also try to redo it. Okay, degrade using the same one, we degrade, and then we still found out that after 3 runs it still gives us a satisfaction result. Okay, satisfaction result. So as a conclusion, okay, as a conclusion, so what actually we actually found just now. Okay, so this is the first part. We actually found out that zinc and titanium dioxide is really a good photocatalytic system. All right, it's except the iron oxide, and we found out what is the amount of the loading. Okay, 2.5 weight% for zinc oxide and 3 weight% for the titanium and iron, as well as the degradations of all the organic dye. Right, and of course our main studies that, as we said earlier, we want to look at or find out is this, which is the magnetic nanocomposite, okay, of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Okay, so what we actually obtained just now, right, for iron dope with zinc is require 9 weight%, whereas for the titanium it's almost quite the same with 3 weight%. So due to this amount, of course, we can't really compare why this is good, why whether the zinc dope with iron good or better than titanium dope with iron. All right, and of course the amount of doping that we use for these materials, the sintering temperature. And after we do the 3 cycle, okay, so we actually still successfully obtain the satisfaction result. All right, so briefly, future study, of course, we want to really still improve this nanocomposite material. If we want able to look at how we can actually again produce it in a much low cost, if there is still a way, and then is it possible if you want to use excessive substance during the mixings, okay, or change the mixing method and so on, okay, and of course all the other dyes that we are going to look at, right? So this is the previous study that actually ignite our work, okay, right? So as we said, this substance, metal oxide, is a very good oxide, and then why we want to add this or dope this iron oxide, right? Okay, and then we use these organic dyes, all right? And this is briefly my research groups and collaborators. Of course, it is not only listed here, it's a few others, right? Okay, right. So I would like to thank our Malaysian government mostly, and all our university staff and also colleagues, as well as the collaborators that actually share with us their apparatus, their equipment. Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much. So I really give back to Dr. Adi. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice presentation. Very interesting. There are 11 questions for your presentation. So I will I would like to share the screen, and you can answer the question from the screen.
So I unshare the screen now, yeah?
Yeah. Just unshare, and I will share for the question.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Can you see the Can you see the question?
All right. Yeah, I can see the questions.
Yeah. Okay. The first question is about the final products. Yeah.
Okay. if the photocatalytic process is not finished until final products, of course, there is actually a redox system there. Okay, so there are intermediate products. Okay, there are a lot of interactions, chemical reactions, substance, right? So as I said, we are not really interested. Okay, we are not really interested in the chemical that actually, or in the intermediate substance that actually created for the first part of our study, right? The first part of our study is just to throw out or to reduce the color. Okay, as we know, dye is actually created by the color. Okay, the chemical substance that produce the color. So that substance, of course, will be the next study. Of course, we are probably we will need to look at the FTIR, okay, equipments to look at what actually the intermediate substance. Yeah, of course, that is what we are actually thinking of, to look at what is the possible substance. Of course, we really already thought of this intermediate substance while we actually would like to start this study. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that answer.
Okay, this is the second one.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the requirements for materials to be a good photocatalyst? Okay. So actually, this system, as long as they are actually able to be excited, and then they are actually having the photocatalytic materials that is stable. Okay, they are actually able to mix with this water. When we put, of course, they are just colloidal. Okay, colloidal, so they can really have the change. Of course, it's not simple material. Okay, it's not just a simple material. They have this metal oxide, only metal oxide in the fourth group. Okay, so they able to ignite, okay, excite the electrons hole. Okay, electron hole. If you just take other materials, okay, so they are not easily excited. Okay, they need to have this energy. Okay, threshold energy. Okay, right?
Okay. This is the next question.
So hydroxide is strong oxidant with energy value. Yeah. Okay. Now, what type of bonds, functions, group, or molecular structure is most favorable to be attacked? Yeah. Actually, how they attack is the oxygens. Okay. The oxygens. Okay. And then hydrogens. Okay. Right. So this is the main molecular group that they actually attack. Of course, they will go to this system and then looking at the system whether it is able to attack this particular molecular, right? So this molecular is very complex, right? So we actually able to really look at this hydroxyl radical. They go to attack this substance by looking at first is by attacking their hydroxyl radical group, okay, right? And then they have this carboxyl, all right, and so on, okay? Yeah, so this is how they slowly, that's why they produce the intermediates. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, for the next question is,
what is the next path taken by the radical group? What does it mean? Yeah.
I think this is correlated to the previous question, because it's from the same
I think is it okay, let me answer. Is it of course this radical group, of course it will be back to normal, right? So just like the hydroxyl radical is going back to hydroxide ions, and then oxygen superoxide oxygens will actually go back to oxygen after they actually degrade. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for this is the next question. What is the particle size?
Oh, particle size of my materials actually is about 100 to 200. Okay, it's about that range that we are looking at. Of course, the source, okay, the source that we actually obtain is between 100 to I think 500. Okay, right?
Is it in nanometer or the micrometers?
Is between nano to micron.
Okay, so you say it's 100 nanometers or 100 micrometers because it's very different, the scale.
Yeah, of course, I understand. The nanomaterial, of course, is between 100 nanometers. Yeah, it's between nanometers. So that's why we try to look at our result, whether we will obtain, okay, we will obtain in a nanometer size. So what we can see there is titanium oxide actually obtained below 100 nanometers, but for the zinc oxides nanomaterial, we actually obtain a bit higher, between 150 to 200.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The next question is about the surface morphology.
Yeah, of course, this morphology contours of the catalytic particle. Okay, for the photocatalytic system, the main morphologies that we want is the surface area, all right? The surface area. If there is agglomerations in the system, all right, in the materials that we produce, then it will actually will slow down the catalytic process. Okay, so the main, okay, the main if we get really well distributed nanocomposite materials that will actually improve our photocatalytic process.
Okay. The next question is about the separating, how to separate the photocatalysis to the...
Oh, okay. The powder expressional science is difficult in separating photocatalysis solution in this process. So how to overcome these limitations of separating the photocatalysis with the solutions? Okay, of course, as I said earlier, okay, what we are doing is just directly put or mix this nanocomposite with the solution in the solutions, and then try to degrade it until the end, and then it doesn't matter what is the end result. Okay, if we put it for 1 hour, then we make it consecutive for each sample for 1 hour or 15 minutes and so on. And then at the end, after we already stop, we just actually put it nice, just like in the diagram, right? Just like in the diagram. So we use the about I think 0.6 Tesla of the manganese, and then we separate it. Okay, we separate. Of course, as I said, this is early studies. Okay, if we really want to apply in the industry, we will need a huge magnetic system, right? Yeah.
Okay. The next is, I think this is still correct to the previous question. This is about immobilization of the particles.
Okay, immobilization. Okay, of course, our system is immobilized. Okay, immobilized. We don't really let it flow. Okay, as you can see in our system, in many of the system, they actually try to flow this liquid, okay, these solutions through the UV lights, okay, through the UV lights, okay. So we also try to look at the previous study. Then we, if we use the immobilized system, what is the result? Is it significant, right? So we found out that although it's immobilized, then of course immobilized system has a lot of setup, okay, and then what we take, of course, is the, as I said, the simplest one, without need to really put on the thin films and so on. So those also immobilized system, right? Then, so what we try to do here is still immobilized, okay, not moving, a flow of solutions. So as you can see, okay, although it's immobilized, then we still obtain the good result. Okay, still obtain the satisfaction. I mean, not say good. Okay, because if good, then maybe you can reduce it in 10 minutes or less, or so on. Okay, so what we have here is very good, very significant, right? So it's able to completely decolorize, okay, decolorize our organic
Okay, and
dyes.
how about the requirement for the matrix? For the because this is the questioner asked about the requirement for the matrix.
The requirement for the matrices.
Yeah.
It is just the surface area, of course. What we actually looking at is whether is really provide, if we put on the thin film the as a matrix, right? So the surface area will be reduced. So we don't want that. Okay, we try to look at a system, a matrix that will actually create, okay, or provide the highest, the maximum potential possible, which is the surface area. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The next question is about the function of magnetite.
Oh, okay. Yeah. As you can see just now, okay. As you can see just now, we actually have seen the result of the magnetic measurement, right? So the function of this iron oxide here, as I mentioned earlier, is to allow us to have the magnetic characteristics only, right? So of course we have not go into more details. If we actually have changed the band gap of the zinc oxide, all right, and this actually whether it's produced one layer or two layer. Okay, so what our idea here is just probably the iron oxide actually is just being attached, physically attached solid state reactions side by side, or probably it's covered, either probably it's already covered slightly by iron oxide and so on, right? So this, of course, we are actually in the future studies, okay, in the next studies, we are going to look at whether, okay, while we actually change the preparations method as well, we also will look at this change of the band gap as well as the layers, okay, either is really a spherical shell layer or something. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. The next question is how to ensure the final product are CO2 and water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course, as I mentioned earlier, all right, our intention first, okay, so as a general, okay, as a general acceptable idea, we know that as this system is going through a degradations, and then the end product most possibly will be carbon dioxide and water, right? Carbon dioxide and water. And of course, we are not really collect, okay, carbon dioxide and really not really test, as I mentioned just now, as what you also, there's also a question just now, what happens if there is an intermediate still there, right? So we not really go into detail on testing that, because we say we just try to decolorize it first, okay? That is the first impression, right? That is the first impression for all the researchers that will like to look at, oh, it is really successfully degraded the dyes. Yeah.
Okay. The last two is about the magnetic properties.
Oh, okay. As I said just now, okay, why we would like to have this system, okay, is because we don't want to have, again, after use then throw, after use then throw. Again, that will become the second products, right? The second pollution and contamination products. So we don't want that. So that is our goal. We want a clean environment, right or not? Okay, everyone want a clean environment, because same as other methods as well. Okay, if you use filtration, especially, right? Even that is worse, filtration, you need to throw all these filters and so on, right? So that's why we actually try to produce the system, okay, the materials which actually can be recycled as many times as possible to save the environment. So that's our main goal. Yeah, thanks.
Did you do any like how many recycles
Yeah,
that can be
I just
available?
do 3 recycle for the initial, and then we do 5. Okay, right.
Okay.
So for that is it's still in the study. Yeah.
Okay. Did it give a same performance if you?
Yeah, it looks the same. Okay, the performance is decreasing just 1 or 2%. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The last question is about the sintering temperature.
Well, of course, we understood that the effect of the sintering temperature is very obvious, right? So either it is actually change the morphologies, all right? The morphologies of the materials, correct? So sintering temperature is very sensitive, okay? So that's why we try not to use high sintering temperature. That, of course, there's 2 reasons for not using high temperature for sintering. One is, of course, to save cost, right? As if we use the high sintering temperature, of course, it requires high energy, right? And the second, of course, if you use the high sintering temperature, of course, it will again change the morphology of our materials, right? For morphology of our material. And of course, that's why we use a low sintering temperature. We don't want, hopefully, we don't change the morphologies, as well as we can save the energy. Yeah,
okay.
that is
okay.
the reason.
Okay, thank you. This is the final question. And
okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for the audience, because now the time is up. This is 10:16.
Oh, sorry.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The discussion is very interesting. And yesterday I got email from Dr. Tan about the scholarship. This is about scholarship from the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I just
tell. Yeah. You can tell to the audience the opportunity from the University of Nottingham.
But the problem is the due date is tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Maybe next
And anyway,
time.
yeah. If I let me share a very short one. So actually, the scholarship is a full scholarship for the studies for a PhD students, right? So of course, I don't have the grants, so I can't really employ any students. Okay, so and if any of you have the grants, you can actually take in students. But the problem here is that because it's our university's scholarship, so it need the first supervisor to be our staff. So I'm afraid, of course, you will be reluctant. Okay, anyone will be reluctant of that, right? So, but of course, it is a full scholarship of the fees, okay, of school fees. But of course, it's not those lodging and all the foods and so on, right? Okay, that you have to find other sponsors, okay, from other sponsors. But the study is full scholarship. You can come in with a degree, which is a first class degree, or if you come in with the master, then that's fine. If you come in with a first class degree, then you can immediately go through the PhD. But if you come in without a first class, you still can come in with a master's, okay, first year, and then we will evaluate. And if you really shows a good performance, then you will be converted to a PhD. Yeah, just that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for the information. So for the alumni, maybe if you have any, if you're interested in to continue your study to the PhD, you can apply to University of Nottingham, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for Dr. Tan for for sharing your knowledge about the photocatalytics. It was very nice discussion today.
Thanks. Welcome.
Hopefully we can continue our collaboration.
Sure.
We reach there, okay. And for everyone, and I would like to thank for the audience. I know that there is 120 participants today. I think so,
okay.
it's beyond our expectation, because I expect it's only 100. It's 100.
I
It's
see.
120. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm really sorry for the beginnings, because the the link is invalid.
It's
And
okay. It's okay. Yeah.
it's okay, yeah, but
Initially, I really feel nervous. I thought, oh, come on.
okay. Okay. Thank you very much, and we give applause to Dr. Tan for his presentation today.
Thanks.
Thank
Okay.
you very
Welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
Dr. Adi and the team. Yeah. Thank you.
We need to take a photos. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Can everyone? Sorry. Just start the video, and we can. Yeah. I need to print screen. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There are 4 screen here. One. Okay. Okay. The next one is. Sorry. This is the next one. Okay. Okay. This is the next one. The third. And this is the 4th one. Okay. Thank you very much. And for the audience, you can. If you need to see this webinar today, I will upload the record to YouTube, and you can see in the JKSA channel. And we have a collection from the first webinar until today. This is the 12th webinar, and we will continue our webinar every month. Just stay tuned in the second Wednesday every month. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your coming, for your attention, and especially for Dr. Tan for your sharing to our webinar today.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a
Yeah.
nice day. Have a safe day.
Thanks.